Hi folks, today I want to talk about Article 13 that deals with our elected officials. This is a critical issue because all the failure in our country has only been made possible due to the election of men and women that don't have the same allegiance to our families and our country that we have. And their lack of allegiance is harming every family in our country right now. And in the worst cases, it's killing members of our families. Are these people too ignorant and incompetent to understand the deadly consequences of their misguided policies? Or have they willingly betrayed our families and our country for a bag of gold? They do certainly all seem to be getting richer while we keep getting poorer. We may never know the answer, but the answer really doesn't matter. What matters is that we recognize that this is failure. We recognize that these people are responsible for this failure, and we realize that these people don't represent us. And realizing that these people don't represent us shouldn't be too hard. You can just look at the outcome of their policies where you lose every time. Or you can just listen to them talk, because most of them don't even hide their contempt for you. Just the other night, the president of our country, he announced he was devoted to a foreign country. Now, you're usually devoted to your wife or your family, but this guy, he's devoted to a foreign country. Our new Speaker of the House, he had two main priorities after taking that position. And neither of these priorities benefited us. Rather, they were to take more of your money and send it off to two foreign countries. It's amazing. None of his main priorities had to do with our country. So here's Article 13. We reject the notion that most of our current House, Senate, governors, state reps, mayors, councilmen, judges, or district attorneys of either Republican or Democratic Party represent the will of the people. Their vision for our country is a failure, and their willingness to support this anti-American agenda can be described as ignorance and incompetence in the best case, and just plain treason in the worst case. We support the replacement of them with Americans who will defend our Constitution, support this doctrine, and are willing to do the right thing for our families, our communities, and our country. Now, if you've been following along up to this point, I made a compelling and factual case in the prior articles that it really doesn't matter who you elect. The outcome is the same regardless of which political party is in control. Remember, we talked prior how in roulette, the House wins on green. But you have an almost 50% chance to win by picking either black or red from the remaining spots on the wheel. But in the game they play on you, the House still wins on green, but the House also wins when you pick blue or red. You lose every time you play their game in every election. And even though that isn't your intention with your vote, when you play their game and you vote for their candidates, you guarantee more failure and more losing every time. You vote for more welfare, more taxes, more debt, more endless war, more immigration, more dangerous drugs to harm our families, more crime in our communities, more division in our country, more lost jobs, more suffering across the whole world. And these are just the tip of the iceberg of an endless list of destructive policies that have been successfully carried out by both parties. And who knows how much failure is lurking below the surface that we don't even know about. It's clear these people aren't working on our behalf. The problem is, even if you recognize this, you can't vote your way out of this mess. Because the candidates presented to you by the media, they're just more people without an allegiance to us. More people that don't represent our ideals or our country. So how did we get to the point where we have almost 535 politicians in Congress and thousands and countless other political positions at every level of the government without an allegiance to our country? Did it happen by chance? Possible, but I don't think so. It more likely happened by design, using lots of money, lots of media manipulation, and a few unfortunate assassinations and untimely deaths along the way. They managed to gain control of the election process, and we're left with this group to pick from as supposedly our best and our brightest. And by using the dual party deception, they've been able to successfully create for you the illusion of choice. And this illusion is so well done that most Americans, maybe even you, don't even realize that by voting for their bought and paid for political parties and candidates, you are willingly sacrificing your future. But these people are so shrewd, they've even perfected a way for you to willingly give them your money while you vote for their candidates. Because when you donate your hard-earned money to these candidates then give this money to the media for campaign ads. So in the end, you're poorer, you supported candidates that won't represent you anyway, and you made the media even richer and helped give them a bigger platform to deceive even more Americans to willingly sacrifice their future. It's a genius scheme for them, not so smart for you. Now, you're not sure that's how it works? But think of it like this. You and I, we have billions of dollars of ill-gotten money that we took off of other Americans through various schemes. Do you think we'll let the same people that we took the money off of get to vote for candidates that, if elected, would make us give back the billions of dollars that we have? Of course not. We'll let them vote, but with the media and our other rich friends helping, we'll ensure they only get to vote for candidates with an allegiance to us. There won't be any candidates to vote for with an allegiance to their families or their country. And that's how our democratic system works today. You get to pick, but you only get to pick from candidates who will guarantee your death march will continue. Now you might be thinking, Randy, hey, anyone can run for office, and that's true. But for most offices, unless you're approved by the media, unless you've made that deal with the devil, you don't have much of a chance. Because the media won't give you any coverage, or the coverage they'll give you will be negative. We covered many times how the media only praises people who are bad for your future, and they only demonize people who are good for your future. And this especially applies when it comes to fooling you into electing people without an allegiance to your future. The candidates the media promote really look like this. But since they get to manipulate the narrative on every candidate, they present their corrupt candidates to you looking like this. And you're fooled into voting for them. At the same time, when we do have an honest candidate run for office, they negatively portray any honest candidate to look like this to ensure that you'll never vote for them. Or they just ignore them altogether. But even if we could find an honest candidate, with the high cost of a media-driven campaign, they can't compete with the out-of-state and even out-of-country money that will pour into the machine's corrupt candidates' war chest. Money that will be used to smear their integrity and to drown out their message. But if they do choose to invest their money in a media campaign so they can get exposure and try to get their message out, they have to pay that money to the very group that's working to ensure they don't get elected. And the media gets to set the price that they have to pay. Now, how level do you think that playing field is? And even if you wanted to find out what the people we've elected already represent, it's hard. Because of the practice of using a single vote to pass giant spending bills that package waste, war, and betrayal among the essential spending that's required to run our country, this ploy enables Congress to perpetrate failure in our country and across the world while hiding behind that they had to vote for these failed policies to provide you with the essential government functions that your family needs. Compromise, they call it, but I think it's more accurately called betrayal. And this practice makes it almost impossible to find out who and what these people really support. And you're stuck relying on misleading sound bites to try to figure out who to vote for. Now this sums up where we're at today. A political landscape barren of people that react on our behalf, barren of people devoted to our families and our country. And as a result, we just keep marching along on this death march. But I'm not content to march on, and I hope you aren't either. So when we meet next, let's begin to discuss the steps that we'll take to change that barren landscape into one filled with opportunity. And the only way to do that is to have leaders that are devoted to our future. Leaders that have an allegiance to our families in our country. Now I know, leaders devoted to America, that's a novel concept today, but with our effort, it won't be such a novel concept in the future. I'll see you next time.